Welcome to the Southern Voice Rock Show. Here's your host, Jim Harris.
Welcome back to the show. At the end of the episode, we're going to tell you about an opportunity to help someone who has been providing us with a lot of great music for a lot of years and could really use our help. It's also our first episode to ever involve the Sears catalog and the movie The Jerk, so you're going to have to stay tuned to see how those two items contribute to a long and successful career in rock and roll. Our guest today has been a part of 4 major Southern bands: Molly Hatchet, Mother's Finest, the Outlaws, and for the last 26 years he's been behind the kit for the Marshall Tucker Band. B Borden joins us today. B, welcome to the Southern Voice Rock Show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much. Good to be here.
Well, I understand that your drumming career got its start the same place a lot of mechanics got their start, and that's Sears and Roebuck.
Yes, I did. I mowed every person in my neighborhood who had a yard. I would mow their yard, and I saved up and got me a Sears and Roebuck drum set. It was $229.99. I remember exactly.
I wonder how many great rock careers started with an instrument out of the Sears catalog.
I do not know. I know that there's a lot of pictures of Jimmy Page playing a Dan Electra, and that was the guitar that Sears used to sell.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, we know Jimmy Page had a Sears catalog, I guess.
When you were just starting out, who influenced you in your style?
Oh, it was absolutely John Bonham. I remember the first time I heard Led Zeppelin on the radio, and it was just something from another planet. The Beatles are getting so big had made me want to listen to radio all the time. And, back when I was a kid, I listened to radio a lot. And the Beatles sucked me into music, but then Led Zeppelin I just can't explain. I heard it and just went freaking crazy. And it's just like, wow, I want to do that.
Well, I think that's the backstory with a lot of folks that do what you do.
Yeah. I'll give you a perfect example. Did you ever see that movie, The Jerk?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember when Steve Martin, he's listening to the radio and it's like, bam, that's it. That's the stuff. And he can keep the beat. He finally gets it. that was my moment for the first time I heard Led Zeppelin. It's like, wow, that right there is the key to my life. I want to do that. End of story.
You know what, BB? You may be the first person that's ever connected Led Zeppelin to the movie The Jerk.
Yeah, my brain goes strange places. I remember because he was living in that family. He never could keep the beat. He never just didn't get the music. And finally, that one time, it's like, bam, this is what people need to hear when he got the music.
You started playing in bands, and life led you toward Atlanta, and that eventually ended up with you behind the kit for Mother's Finest. How'd that come about?
I was playing with some bar bands around Chattanooga. I'm from Chattanooga. Playing with some bar bands around there. We slowly went into people from Atlanta, and I figured out that's the place to go. Because if you wanted to play music, Atlanta was just like the center of the universe. I had the chance to go and play with a band in Atlanta. And a cover band, but I didn't care. I was playing. That was the important thing. And so I played around all over the Southeast with this copy band called Cisco. And we bumped into Mother's Finest every now and then. Mother's Finest at that time, obviously, they were farther up the ladder than the band I was in. And we would open for Mother's. And so we got to be friends. Turns out my band's band house and the Mother's Finest band house were rather close to each other. And so got to be good friends with them. Turned out that we were both like real heavy-duty Led Zeppelin junkies. And so we had that, that's common ground there. And so we got to be friends with him. One time I just happened to see Mo by himself. There was nobody around. I went over and said, excuse me, I'm choking on my coffee. And I said, hey, if you ever need a drummer, man, give me a call. And it was strange because the guy they had at the time was a really good drummer. But I didn't know that he had debilitating asthma. And so about 6 months later, the band called me up and said, hey, you want to be in the band? I'm like, let's do it.
And you were there for several years, and I think maybe, 5 albums?
Let's say that's something like that.
Counting the live album?
Yeah. Most people don't know. There's 2 different live albums. The live album that pretty much the same songs are on that, but there was a European version and an American version. Okay. The European version was a little funkier. A few different songs on the European version and the American version.
You guys were in the Atlanta music scene and, Southeast music scene back when it was really, as you said, it was kind of on fire. I mean, Atlanta Rhythm Section, the Sound Pit, Studio One. I mean, there was so much music happening in Atlanta, the bar scene, the club scene, the concert scene. Atlanta was the spot, and you guys were right in the middle of it.
Yeah, Atlanta was just on fire. It's just, there were a million rock and roll clubs. There were a million different rock and roll bands, and they were playing all the time. That's when Underground Atlanta was like really cooking. Because Underground Atlanta had, good Lord, there must have been 12, 13, 14 little rock and roll clubs standing Underground Atlanta. And this is within, like a block section of town. It's too long to explain, but it's a really small section of Atlanta. 12, 13, 14 different rock and roll bars down there. And every one of them had a band. And Atlanta was on fire in those years. The Allman Brothers really brought the world's attention to the South and the music that was going on in the South. And people, started noticing the South. And so, obviously, Atlanta was like the capital of the South. And, Atlanta was just on fire back then. It was a really exciting time. I was lucky to be there when all that stuff was going on. A magic time.
It wasn't just Southern rock. Obviously, Mother's Finest was more of a funk rock. And then there was a lot of pop that was being recorded in Atlanta as well. Starbuck recorded Moonlight Feels Right at Studio One, and Alicia Bridges did a big disco album there. I mean, Atlanta was pulling in R&B, soul, disco, you name it.
Everything. You can name it. Elton John was doing recording then. A lot of recording in Atlanta that people didn't know about. And Isaac Hayes was doing a lot of recording in Atlanta. And just, God, I could just go on forever about all the stuff that was going on. But yes, you are correct. Every different genre of music there was recording in Atlanta.
Well, eventually you came to a parting of the ways with Mother's Finest. How did that come about?
I was going through some emotional issues on my own. We were going out on the road, and we were just working, weren't really going anywhere. We got real big in Europe. That was pretty cool. I decided to leave, and I wanted to just stay home for a second because I was a little road weary. But being on the road a lot, you can just take a lot out of you. Anyway, and I left and played with just a local cover band for a few months just to stay home for a minute there. That was me. I quit the band. I hated to do it because they were my family, but that's what I needed to do at the time.
And you played on the Illusion album with Mo, post Mother's Finest. And that's I think that's a very underrated album. That album's got some really good music on it.
So that was a good band, good record. But the same thing happened with that band. I thought there was a couple of songs on there that were absolutely radio ready. Nothing ever happened. Just the music business is very strange. You have to have the right people working for you at the right time. Was it in the cards for that band, as good as that band was? And I left because we were doing the same thing as Mothers. We were just playing the same places all the time and just wasn't going anywhere.
How did the door to Molly Hatchet open?
Mothers used to play with friggin' everybody on the planet as far as doing big, like Coliseum gigs and arena gigs and just any kind of gig. And Mother's Finest would play with everybody. We had played with Molly Hatchet quite a few times. And they got big really fast. I remember being on tour with them, and their heads were spinning because they had gotten so big so fast. They were a good band. When they first came out, they were a great band. But we had done a bunch of dates with them, and I got to be buddy-buddy with their drummer. And when that drummer left, it just so happens I had just quit Mothers a few months earlier. And they asked me to play. I said, yeah, let's do it.
How long a stretch did you do with Molly?
4 or 5 years, something like that. And it was fun music to play. They were really different people than me, but it was fun stuff to play.
Well, just a personal aside, I think you played on the No Guts, No Glory album.
They did a live record, and that's me.
Another great album, but Fall of the Peacemakers, one of my favorite Molly Hatchet songs.
Yeah.
On the No Guts, No Glory album. So for anybody that's not familiar with that, please give it a check out.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool song. We did that record with the same producer that had done the Mother's Finest records, which is pretty cool. So going in there with him made things easier.
Obviously, Molly was a big band, and then you ended up in the Outlaws. How did that happen?
Again, just being on tour with people, and you meet them and talk to them. When you're on the gig together, you just run into people. It's hard to explain to people that aren't actually in the biz. Before you go and get on stage and play, you're walking around backstage or on the stage, or just checking your gear. And the people from the other bands, they're checking their gear, So you bump into people, you meet them, and after a while, you're on tour with them for a while. And then, you get to be friends. It's like a giant family of musicians, sort of. That might be too nice, but it's just that's me. But you just get to know people. I was in Mothers, and then I knew the Hatchet people after, like I said, a few months after I quit Mothers. That's when I went and played with Molly Hatchet. And I left Molly Hatchet, and bam, same thing sort of happened. And that's when I went to Illusion. But that thing kind of fell apart, and then I went to go play with a horn band for about a month. And you were talking about the guy, Lou Van Doren. I played with his horn band for about a year, which was very cool because I grew up on a lot of funk.
Yeah, I think they have about 30 years under their belt now. Lou's Blues Review.
Yeah, the Lou's Blues thing, yeah. I did that for about a year. And while I was doing that, it was pretty cool. The guys in the Outlaws called me up. The Outlaws and Molly Hatchet had done a European tour together, a pretty extensive European tour together. The Hatchet people, the Outlaws people got real buddy. The Outlaws called me up, said, hey, come play with us. I said, okay, that sounds good. Let's do it. And so I was with him for like 10 years.
Between the Outlaws and Molly Hatchet, which one of those do you think fit your style as a drummer the best?
They were pretty similar. I don't think I tailored my playing to anybody's music. I just played it the way I heard it. That's just the way I play. I try to just play the song. I don't want to try to infuse me into the song too much. I just want to play the song. Try to make the song sound as good as it can. The way I play with Mother's Finest or Tucker or anybody, I play kind of the same.
Well, obviously you did a long tour with the Outlaws, and then you found your way into the Marshall Tucker Band, where you have been for over a quarter of a century, I guess.
I've been here almost to the day, 26 years. Again, it's the same thing. Outlaws had done a whole bunch of dates with Marshall Tucker and got to be friends. And they called me up. I had left the Outlaws because, again, we made a couple of good records, and they just didn't go anywhere, and we were beating our heads against the wall. So I decided to leave, and then Huey got a call from Leonard Skinner, like within 2 or 3 days of me leaving the Outlaws, which was kind of strange, but that's the way timing is sometimes. I've been with Tucker, 26 years.
Having been behind the kit for 3 of the biggest Southern rock bands and another band, Mothers, that's not a Southern rock band, but a great rock band from the South, what is it about the music of that era that you think makes it so timeless? How does it connect so well with people?
I don't know. I wish I could put my finger on it or write songs. If I knew what the secret was, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm sorry. I've got no answer for you.
Regardless of why, it's good that it still does. But When you look at the crowd at a Marshall Tucker Band concert today, what's the breakdown? Is it a lot of the folks that were around back in the early days of Marshall Tucker and have been fans for all these years, or are you seeing a lot of new fans come into the fold as well?
I'm seeing both. Swear to God, I'm seeing both. I'm seeing old people that maybe not should be out in public because they're so old and they can just barely make it, and young people. Those old people that can barely make it, they're troopers. They'll come out and see us anyway. All over the country, we run into people time and again and just love the band. And a lot of young people, too. A lot of young people.
In recent years, who has played a support role for Marshall Tucker that really impressed you, like an up-and-coming band?
There's a band called Crawford and Power. They're very cool. It's a guy playing acoustic and a guy playing dobro. They got a very cool thing going on. I couldn't tell you anything about their business, whether they've got a record deal or anything like that. There's a band called, I think they're called the Georgia Thunderbolts.
Yes, very good band.
The very good guys. One of those guys happens to be the son of one of the guys in the Kentucky Headhunters. We're very good friends with those guys, too.
How often in a year's touring does Marshall Tucker end up on a bill with another one of the great Southern rock acts, Molly or Outlaws?
All the time. I mean, it's not even any big deal. Because we used to do just tons of dates with Charlie Daniels, still play a lot with Leonard Skinner. We can't play with Charlie anymore. We were going to go on a big tour with Charlie that year. That COVID hit and everything shut down. We were going to go on we were going to be with Charlie for a year.
Wow.
And, yeah, really. And we had just come off doing a bunch of dates with Leonard Skinner. We're still doing some Skinner dates. Not many because, Gary just passing, which changed everything. It's really sad that all these people are passing away and their bands slowly go away. When Charlie died, obviously, it's over. That's it. Skinner, they're still doing some dates that finish out whatever Skinner's going to do. I'm not privy to what they're going to do. Yes, a lot of Skinner dates. Tomorrow we're going to play with Alabama. I'm in Spokane right now for the people on the listening in. I'm in Spokane, Washington, and we're going to play with Alabama tomorrow.
Man, what a great bill.
Oh, yeah. We've got a bunch of Alabama dates.
Have you run across any drummers lately that really just kind of registered with you as being top shelf?
The guy that was with Charlie Daniels was a monster. A guy named Pat McDonald. He was just a monster drummer.
So have you thought about writing a book about your rock and roll stories?
I wouldn't know how to put it together. A T-shirt guy that we had a long time ago, and he asked a couple of questions about something. I don't remember what it was. He said, man, you need to write a book. I'm like, God, I wouldn't know how to put it together. The info was in my head of me putting it down on pen and paper. I don't know. To meet a lot of cool people and been to a lot of cool places. I know that for a fact.
Has there ever been one band that you've seen play live that just really hit home with you as like the perfect combination of talent, material, so on and so forth?
AC/DC, obviously. Mother's Finest used to do bunches of dates with AC/DC, and they were just scary good. And they were good every night. There's a reason they're so big. They are the real deal. And they are really nice guys, too. Really nice guys. When Mother's was touring with him, it was the original singer, too. Barn was there. And they were just scary to death. They were so good.
They still are very high energy on stage. I saw the Scorpions a couple of years ago. They were all in their 70s at the time, and they're uber high energy. You see a lot of these guys on stage, and they look like they're still in their 20s.
Yeah, well, that's what the music can do to you.
So apparently rock and roll is the secret to a long, healthy life.
And taking care of your body. We met those Scorpion guys over in Germany. Mothers did. Met the Scorpion guys over in Germany. It's like 100 years ago. They were just an up-and-coming band at the time. I'm glad they made a great career out of their music. They were really out scats. I do remember that.
Marshall Tucker has a few dates, or several dates actually, they're the balance of this year, and they're kind of scattered all over the country. So for Marshall Tucker Band fans, there's a pretty good opportunity to get out and see the band this year. Absolutely.
It's just MarshallTucker.com. And when you get to it'll say official site, pretty easy. There's a little listing. It says tour. Hit that, and it'll show you all the dates.
Well, hopefully everybody will get a chance to get out and see Marshall Tucker this year. It's a great show, and you guys sell out pretty much everywhere you play.
Darn near.
Well, it's a great testament to the longevity of an incredible band.
Yeah, it's a good band, a good bunch of guys. People love the songs. I mean, beat that, you know.
BB, from a fan's perspective, thank you for all that you have done and all the music that you've been a part of that really defines our generation. It's been a blessing to have the music of our era as the soundtrack of our lives. I know that sounds corny, but it's absolutely true.
Yeah. Jim, we grew up at a magic age. I mean, if you can remember I don't know how old you are, but when the Beatles came out, and then Led Zeppelin and Cream and the Doors and just all the bands that came out. When I was growing up, it was just like, God, I got spoiled. There's not any bands coming out like that anymore. It's sad.
Technology has given people a lot of a leg up to replace what used to require nothing but talent.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for being with us and taking time out of your tour stop in Washington to talk to our folks, and wish you all the best on the rest of your tour this year.
Jim, it's been my honor to talk to you, my privilege. I appreciate it very much.
In this week's covers, we want to point you toward a remake of a classic Thin Lizzy song. The 1976 album Jailbreak contained Cowboy Song, which became one of Thin Lizzy's best known. In 2022, a band called the Comancheros remade it. It's not on an album, it's only a single, but it is available on iTunes. They classify it as country, and it does have a little twanging guitar in the opening of the song, but make no mistake, it's all about the rock and roll. The Comancheros remake of Thin Lizzy's Cowboy Song. Check it out. I am honored to be attending and be a part of an event that's taking place on Sunday, August the 13th, downtown Lilburn, Georgia, at Music on Main Street. Starts at 4 p.m., and it's a fundraiser for Tommy Talton. Tommy has been a fixture in the Southern music scene for over half a century, going back to the 60s in his first big band, We the People. He was a co-founder of Cowboy, Capricorn recording artist, played with and recorded with the Allman Brothers, including being on the iconic Brothers and Sisters album. He recorded and toured with Greg Allman and so many other great artists. But for the last couple of years, Tommy has been locked into a battle with cancer, and his friends in the music business have rallied to put on this event. All the funds raised are going to go to Tommy, and there's going to be some great artists there. Scheduled to appear, the iconic Jimmy Hall and some of the members of Wet Willie, Mike Veal, Randall Bramlett, Sonny Emery, former drummer of Earth, Wind, and Fire, and you never know what other surprises may drop in. So hopefully we'll get to see everyone there. If you aren't going to be able to make it in person, in the show notes for this episode, there's a link that you can donate and help out Tommy. I want to thank everyone, but also I have a message from Tommy himself.
Hello, y'all. This is Tommy Talton, and I am honored and overwhelmed to know about this benefit that some fine, wonderful friends I'm fortunate to have are putting on. And the benefit will be on August 13th, and I hope everybody can get out there. It's going to be a day of some wonderful music with some of the most talented Southeast musicians. And I don't know what else to say except come on out and have a good time. It's all about helping each other. Thank you very much.
Come and help out Tommy and enjoy a day of great music. Hoping to see a lot of you there. In this week's Hidden Gem, we want to suggest a not very well-known album from a pretty well-known Southern band. In 1986, the Georgia Satellites released their self-titled debut album, which included a single, Keep Your Hands to Yourself, that blew up the charts and put the Satellites on the map. By 1988, however, when their second album dropped, sales were stagnant and the album pretty much fell between the cracks. It's called Open All Night. It is, however, a greatly underrated album. It has some great songs with some great hooks, and it's absolutely worth a listen. Open All Night, 1988, from the Georgia Satellites. I want to thank B Borden for being with us today, and also Tommy for taking time to call in and talk to us about his event. I hope we get to see a lot of you guys on August the 13th, 4 to 10 p.m. at Music on Main Street in Lilburn. And if you can't make it, remember there is a link in the show notes that you can make a donation for Tommy, and it will be very much appreciated. Until next week, keep rocking.
Thanks for listening.